In 1970, 44 years ago, when I was a young man, I had a near-death experience. I was killed in a motorcycle wreck in Eugene, Oregon, and I happened to have this wreck in front of an ambulance location, and they just came around, picked me up, and took me to the hospital. They put me in the ICU, the intensive care unit, and about 3 hours later I went into a coma. I had rather extensive, there's scars here on my wrist and stuff, leg injuries. I have steel in my femur here. I have lost the kneecap on my right leg. I had part of my wrist was up here by my elbow, pushed up under the skin. I was pretty well destroyed. So 3 hours later I went into a coma and I went out of body. The being of light is definitely a being, but not with a face, a figure, anything else. It's more of an energy center. It's a white light that's described as having gold around the edges, if you wish. It's the brightest, prettiest, most loving light I've ever seen. I've never been so in love or at home or with my family or with, it's where I'm from. And I felt that this being and I had known each other for, I use the term thousands of years or eons. We'd always known each other. There was no beginning, no end to how long we've known each other. If you think of each of our consciousnesses as one little grain of sand and infinite intelligence as the whole beach of sand, I was plugged back in, my little grain of sand was back on the beach, where I belonged, where I came from. First off, when I had the near-death experience in 1970, I started talking about it. And I was on the head injury floor, and so the chief psychiatrist wanted to put me in the nut house because this isn't true. You got a degree, you're a doctor and all that, but you've never been there. And you're telling me it doesn't exist because you have a degree? I believe they may have given my body painkillers, but I was out of the body. So people say, well, it's a drug effect in your mind. No, I'm out of the body. I remember coming back into the room and coming back into the body and seeing myself and coming into it. I finally get out of the hospital. I go to the pastor at my church, and he says, well, it can't possibly be true because it doesn't agree with Scripture. And I said, wait a minute. It doesn't agree with your interpretation of the Scripture. It's true, I went there. Those people who want to say, well, it was a drug, or well, it was something else, they're looking for it to be something else because they don't want to hear what we're saying. In standard practice in neurosurgery, the belief is that the brain creates the consciousness. And this is a thing we're taught in grade school, that the brain makes the consciousness. The truth is, and physics is coming up against this one big time now, the truth is that the consciousness makes the brain, and not the other way around. The brain is just like a television set. It's a receiving station. The consciousness exists outside the body. If you think about your consciousness as existing outside of your body, but telling itself that the locus of your consciousness is in your head, so then you're going to experience everything inside the body, then you can see how easy it is to go out of body. You just shift where you're thinking it is. You say, okay, I'm no longer in this computer, I'm out here in this one. Click, now I'm out there. Okay, now I can look down at my body. Okay, if I want to make my locus back inside the head, click, I'm back in here. Once you understand from the near-death experience that the afterlife is real, then you will want to maybe talk to your relatives who are sitting over there, the ones who are passed on, the ones you love, your grandmother, things like that. And when you start wanting to talk to them, and you do talk to them, things begin to change. So this is why you want to know your relatives. They do love you, they're still over there. It's right here where we are. It's a different frequency in the same place we are. When they're in that fourth dimension, they're almost at our frequency. That's why they can see us. We can't see them, but they can see us. And physics says we have 7 levels in string theory and 1 more level in M theory for a total of 11 dimensions. Those 8 extra dimensions which we have not discerned are the dark energy, the 96% of the universe that we cannot yet even detect. But we know mathematically that it's there from our astronomy. We know that the dark energy and the dark matter exist and make up 96% of the universe, which we don't yet see. There's a lot of room for a lot of afterlife and a lot of different levels out there. But the materialist scientists who only want 3D, they won't look at it. They won't even, they say, no, it's a bunch of baloney. They don't even look. They just say, no good, impossible, I'm not even gonna look at it. Well, how do they know it's impossible? They see 4% of the universe and the rest of it's impossible. But that's ridiculous. We have to remember that it's not in our 4%. We can't know it all yet. But we're now at a point where we are making beachheads on a new territory, those other dimensions. The quarks and the gluons, which make up our atoms. String theory is that they're made up of a vibration, and you think about a vibration without a string vibrating. Now you have what quarks and gluons are made out of, a thought, a vibratory thought. And that's consciousness. And that's what makes the whole universe. Well, if consciousness comes first, then this whole idea that the neurosurgeons are using, that the brain, the wet brain creates the thought, is bullshit. I know, when I say I'm a medium, that all the other scientists look at me like, he's not a scientist, he's a nut. But it's okay, I'm retired, who cares? I don't care anymore, okay? They still have their career, they're still worried about everyone else thinking they're crazy, you know, so they are careful about saying things, and I understand that. But more of them should have a little more courage and say, I don't know everything. I'm going to look. Instead of saying it's impossible, they should look. And I believe in physics, and I'm a naval architect, I've designed many ships, and I know all about how to use physics in our 3D to make things work. But I also know that that's just a limited little corner of the world, and that the huge universe out here besides that, and this huge universe we don't know anything about. And I can stand up there, even if the guys who want to hide in the 4% little corner want to laugh at me, let them. They're the fools. I'm not the fool. I realize we don't know. I would say we're experiencing a spiritual evolution. 70% of Americans do believe that there's an afterlife. Okay, around 35-40% truly believe in mediums, being able to talk to the other side. I was a young man in my early 20s, and I decided to come back here. I wasn't done with the reason I had been here. I clearly remember squeezing down, getting smaller, and coming into my body. It was like slamming back into the pain of this existence. So I come back, at that time, a college student studying mechanical engineering and physics. I come back into this life and I go on with that career, but they're teaching me Newtonian physics. They're teaching me that this is 3D is it. And I'm always, from the beginning, from then on, I'm on the other side. No, there's all the rest of this energy. There's all the rest of this out here. There are only two ways, fear and love, nothing else. The rest doesn't exist. And fear is false. We use it, false evidence appearing real, F-E-A-R. False evidence appearing to be real. That's what fear is. It's not real. It's not real at all. Fears are based on nothing. It was more real than this reality. We all remember that experience better than anything else in our life. It is embedded in us. It is burned into our mind because it was more real. So for people, how to believe it, they always want me to give them that one. How to believe it. Walk a mile in my shoes? Go have your own near-death experience? Here, let me get a gun. We'll shoot you, see if you die. We can't do that. So they want to know, like I do. I was lucky to be killed. Think about what I'm saying. I was lucky to be killed and then to come back so that I could say all of this and know all of this.